If you're the kind of person who is worried about offending people with your fragrance of the day, then this is not the video for you, my friend. Now let's get started with the weakest fragrance on this list. Now this is still a beast, but it is the weakest out of the 10 beast fragrances I'm gonna show you, and that is Peace and Love by Lattafa. This is a very sweet, borderline, a little bit animalic type of fragrance. It actually reminds me a lot of this fragrance right here, Coach Gold, which is another scent that has an animalic type of tone to it. And I think it's because of the almond in both of these fragrances. The Coach Gold has almond blossom. This one has just almond. This one I actually tolerate a lot more than the Coach Gold, but it is still beastly. I never have any issue with this fragrance lasting on me and staying all day. If you want a sweet, almond heavy type of scent, this is definitely the one to try out. Now again, it does have an animalic type of nature to it. And by animalic, to some people, it can sometimes on the wrong day smell a little bit like a diaper or like a baby powder. It's kind of weird to describe, but if you ever smell really strong almond notes that are done in a certain way in a fragrance, you kind of know what I'm talking about. I think on skin and as it dries down a bit, it becomes less animalic, but it still projects and lasts all day. Notes for this fragrance are almond, black currant, bergamot, rose, tuberose, sandalwood, vanilla, and heliotrope. Next up is one of my newest favorites from Lattafa, Queen of Arabia. First of all, hello packaging, absolutely gorgeous. But more importantly, the smell and the strength of Queen of Arabia. If you're not familiar with this scent, this is actually heavily inspired by the original vanilla powder from the Matier Premier line. And honestly, it is, I think, as close as you can get to being a one-to-one to that scent. If you're not familiar with that scent, it is that musky, sexy, vanilla, coconut fragrance that is an absolute beast and so gorgeous. I absolutely love both the original vanilla powder and the vanilla powder extrait, and this I really think is the best dupe for the original vanilla powder. There are a lot of other ones, but this one really does a good job of just trying to stay as close as possible to the original DNA. This is a true unisex scent if you want to sweeten it up and make it a bit more feminine. I love to layer it with Vanille Blanc from Cudlage, but even on its own, it's just absolutely divine. I always say that I hate coconut in most fragrances because most coconut fragrances to me tend to just smell very artificial and cheap. But I think this does a really great job of putting in just the right amount of coconut, in my opinion, and it doesn't turn it into a tropical scent. This is not at all like we are going to some kind of island and we're drinking out of coconuts. No, it's not that vibe. It is an elevated, adult, sexy, musky, coconut, vanilla, woody type of scent that is just divine. Projects fantastically and lasts on me all day. Notes for Queen of Arabia are coconut, salt, sandalwood, heliotrope, vanilla, and amber. Next up is another new release from Lattafa that I am honestly still very surprised that it has made its way onto this list, but I cannot deny how much this fragrance projects and really lasts on me. It is none other than Second Song by Lattafa. If you are not familiar with Second Song, this is the best dupe of My Devotion by Dolce & Gabbana. This absolutely puts My Devotion to shame in the performance category. I would consider it to be slightly sweeter than the original My Devotion, has more fruit in there. It just kind of smells like all of the ingredients that they put in My Devotion, they just added more of each of them. It was like My Devotion was like, okay, half a cup of peony, a quarter cup of vanilla. Second Song was like, nah, F that. We're gonna do a whole cup of peony, a whole cup of vanilla. Everything is just intensified in this fragrance, and I love that. It is such a good, feminine, fruity, floral scent that is going to last you all day. I think it's great for year round, but I think it will really excel in the warmer months, a springtime or summertime kind of scent. One of the best fruity florals by Lattafa. I feel like they get a bad rep sometimes of just doing warm gourmands or ouds or amberous scents, and they always add their Middle Eastern twang to the fragrance. If you're someone who feels that way, try out Second Song. Just by smell, I would not think that this is a Middle Eastern fragrance. It honestly just smells like a really nice fruity floral designer fragrance like My Devotion from Dolce & Gabbana, but it just is a lot more beastly and projects. I did a test the other day where I was testing a bunch of these fragrances on my skin, and especially when it comes to projection, this one kept wafting up to my nose over all of the others. It's honestly very impressive how loud this scent can be for a fruity floral, and it smells absolutely incredible. The only thing I hate about Second Song right now is this damn cap that does this. I think it's an issue with manufacturing because I've heard other people tell me that their bottles do this as well. I don't like that, but thankfully the juice is good enough that it won't stop me from continuing to use it, but it does annoy me. Anyways, so notes for second song are pear blossom, bergamot, peony, orange blossom, praline, vanilla, musk, ambroxan, and tonka. Next up, we have one that I would say might be considered controversial because I've heard some people say that this does not last on them whatsoever. And then I've heard other people like myself feel like this is one of the most beastly, longest lasting fragrances that Lattafa has created. And believe it or not, it's actually second song's older sister, Angham. You've probably heard about Angham. Angham went crazy viral when it first came out because it was one of the first inspired by Burberry goddess fragrances out there, and it's incredible. I do think that it is a sweeter take on the Burberry goddess DNA, but it is still in that wheelhouse. It is absolutely gorgeous, and I know some people even like it more because it is sweeter than the original Burberry goddess. She is gorgeous. When I tell you, this is one of my most complimented scents, and this lasts forever on me and really, really, really stays in the room and enters the room before me. It is unbelievable. When I wear this to work, I have been told by my coworkers, we can smell you from outside the office. They're in the hallway and they're about to walk into a room that I'm in the building. They can already smell me from the hallway. They've also told me that when I leave the room, like I've left the building, I'm on my way home, they can still smell this. It is a beast. My little sister has also told me that she has been complimented endlessly on Angham from people that are smelling her and way later on during the daytime and who are not super close to her. She told me that she put this on at 7 in the morning, right, to go to work. She went and visited my mom around 6 p.m. and as soon as she entered the building, my mom said, "What are you wearing? I can smell you." There's no reason for my mom to make that up and lie to her. Like, she could literally smell this. I think it is an absolute beast. I am very surprised by the people who say that this does not last for them. But of course, you guys know, scent is subjective. What people smell will be subjective. Also, I've had my bottle for maybe going on close to 6 months. Who knows? Maybe it's just that it's matured. I don't know. But I think she's an absolute beast. So notes for Angham are ginger, mandarin, pink pepper, lavender, praline, cacao, jasmine, vanilla, amber, and musk. One of my favorites from Lattafa. I always say that this is in my top 3 favorite Lattafas. If you don't know where to begin with Lattafa fragrances, you gotta have Angham. The next fragrance is not only a beast, but also one of the most seductive fragrances from Lattafa, at least according to Steven from Redolescence.
This is the sexiest Lattafa perfume ever made, Abiyedh Scarlet. It has rose, it has cherry, it is super seductive. It also smells incredibly expensive because it's inspired by Fetish La Rose, which is hundreds of dollars.
Abiyedh Scarlet. I already love this fragrance a lot, but when I saw Steven say that, I was like, ooh, I like it even more now because he knows his stuff. So if you've not yet smelled this, oh my God. If the story of the Scarlet Letter had a fragrance, I think it would be this. This feels like a lady who's about to get into some trouble. This is like a Jessica Rabbit, red dress, absolutely date night appropriate type of scent. Super loud, super long lasting, sweet, but also florally from the rose in this scent. Definitely one of my favorite rose scents in my collection. So notes for Abiyedh Scarlet. This is gonna open up with black cherry, pink pepper. In the heart, you get white rose, peony, tonka bean, nutmeg, patchouli, sage, vanilla, and caramel in the base. What a masterful conglomeration of notes. I know some people get very, very nervous when they hear patchouli. Honestly, to me, the patchouli in this fragrance is not meant to make the fragrance a heavy patchouli scented fragrance, but more so to give it body, to round it out, and to help with the longevity. But if you didn't tell me that there was patchouli in this, it's not a note that would come to my brain, so don't be worried about that. The main notes that I really get when I smell it are for sure the black cherry, definitely the rose, the peony, and the pink pepper definitely adds a spice to it that's like, ooh, am I about to sneeze? Yeah, she's got some kick to her. Absolutely love this one. If you need a long-lasting fragrance that is going to make you feel and smell seductive, check out my girl, Abiyedh Scarlet. Now this next one is another newer release from Lattafa, and this is one of the couple fragrances on this list that, if I'm being honest, it's not a fragrance that I typically reach for because it's not my preferred scent profile, but I still recognize it for its beastly and strong projection capability. And that is Musimom Black Intense. This was the first fragrance that came out with Lattafa's patented cocoa pulse compound that they created, which is basically an ingredient combination of, I believe it's some woodiness with cocoa. I don't even know exactly what went into it. All I know is that it's pretty much a cocoa butter smelling ingredient that only Lattafa is allowed to use in their fragrances. And Lattafa is gonna be coming out with some more original fragrances, and this was the first one that has cocoa pulse in it. It's in the base notes, so it's not as prominent or pronounced as in, say, the Eternal Vanille, but it is definitely there. So this was recommended to me by a lot of people on TikTok, in my TikTok lives. They were saying, have you tried Musimom Black Intense? It's so good, it's so good. Oh my God, and I was like, okay, girl, I'll try it. Not for me, it's not my preferred scent profile. It's definitely very, very unisex and even masculine leaning to me, and that's why it's not one that as of right now, I really grab. But on my husband, I think it smells great. This is a very dark, somewhat spicy and strong fragrance. It's gonna open up with lavender, nutmeg, sage, and bergamot. In the heart, you get cedarwood, geranium, rosifolia, mahonial, and the base is the cocoa pulse, tonka bean, maple, ambrofix, and patchouli. The ambrofix with the patchouli are also gonna really help with the longevity and the projection. It's one of the more quote-unquote Middle Eastern smelling fragrances on this list. So if you like that type of vibe, you like that nutmeggy, spicy, Middle Eastern flair in a long-lasting fragrance, definitely check out Musimom Black Intense. This next one is another one that I don't grab for. My husband absolutely loves the smell of this fragrance. He probably wishes I wore it more, but it's just not my preferred scent profile. Even though I love the scent that it's inspired by, who knows, maybe it'll grow on me. It is Eternal Oud by Lattafa. Now, this was named correctly, Eternal. This lasts for frickin' ever. This is actually inspired by Grand Soir by MSK. So it's a very rich, warm, amber, heavy, with a bit of vanilla kind of fragrance. Absolutely is unisex. You can dress it up or dress it down in terms of masculine or feminine leaning, depending on what you may layer with it. I do think that it's gotten better with time. I will give it that. When I first got it, I was like, oh, what the hell is this? But over time, as it's continued to mature in its bottle, it's definitely gotten better. Definitely a scent that I would say only wear in the colder months. This is one that I would say would be crazy to wear in summertime. I think you will absolutely suffocate yourself if you were to try that. It's a very classy, to me, elegant, again, rich both in texture and just the smell. It smells like rich to me. But of course, it has oud in it. So of course, you've got to be good with oud. And I think that's why it's not one that I reach for a lot because of the oud. I'm still not super excited about most oud scents. I haven't reached that oud climax in my fragrance journey. We'll see what happens in a few years. But right now, I'm still not like a heavy oud girl. I think because of the oud, the amber, the resinous quality of the overall scent profile in general, it really, really is a super long lasting. You only need a few sprays and really will project out. And that's why I think it's so good for colder weather. So notes for Eternal Oud are plum, grapefruit, heliotrope, orchid, amber, benzoin, vanilla, labdanum, tonka bean, and agar wood, which is basically the oud. Next up is one of my favorite Lattafa scents. This is also in my top 3 best Lattafas along with Angham. And this one is inspired by a much more expensive niche fragrance by the Born to Stand Out brand, which is a South Korean brand. And it is none other than Artisan Ethnique. I absolutely love this smell so, so much. This, I feel like, was one of the first Beast Mode fragrances that I was introduced to by Lattafa, and I'm just still amazed at how good this fragrance is for the price point in comparison to the original Sugar Addict that is more than $200, which I have Sugar Addict as well. I think the original is also divine, but it's just for the price point, it's super impressive how well this fragrance performs. This is a very warm, cozy, sweet, slightly boozy type of scent. And I feel like this is known for being a beast. Like this, you do not need to overspray. You really don't need to overspray this. Similar to the original Sugar Addict, you can wear this on its own, or you can wear this to sweeten up any other fragrances that you want to give an extra layer of just sugar and wonderful, cozy, gourmand deliciousness to. It is one of the most perfect gourmands, in my opinion. Cannot sing the praises of this one enough. Definitely not one that I will ever wear in the warmer months because I will pass out. But in the colder weather, she excels beautifully. So notes for Artisan Ethnique. This is gonna open up with cinnamon, rum, and sugar. In the heart, you're gonna get caramel, cacao, coffee, oak moss, vanilla, tonka bean, cashmere wood, and labdanum. Also, one thing to note is I've had some ladies tell me that they feel like the cinnamon is too spicy. I don't think it's too spicy, but just something to be aware about. If you are sensitive to any spice in your fragrance, you might find this to be too spicy for you with the cinnamon, but if you're able to try it, I would recommend trying it. Next up is a fragrance that when I first got it, I thought, no, this is way too masculine leaning. I can't wear this. It's only gonna be for my husband. But as time went on, it became my favorite in the trio of the 3 scents that are around this particular launch. And it is Khamrah Qahwa. So I have all 3 of these, the original Khamrah and also Khamrah Dukan, which is like a smokier take on the DNA. Khamrah Qahwa though really leans more into coffee notes, which make it just so good. And I really feel like this one projects and lasts the longest out of all of them. She is an absolute delightful beast. A lot of people have compared the Khamrahs to Angel Share by Kilian. I don't think that any of them are clones or dupes of Kilian, and I don't think that they're trying to be that. I think Angel Share is its own fragrance, and Khamrah Qahwa are their own fragrances, and honestly, I think that these are masterpieces that should be respected as such. They're definitely in the family of the Kilian type of fragrance. They're cousins, right? They have the same kind of vibe, the same kind of energy, but I don't think that this is trying to be Angel Share whatsoever. This is a very sweet, spicy, smooth, Christmassy, coffee kind of fragrance that, again, I thought was too masculine initially when I put it on my skin, but I don't know what happened. Maybe my brain has changed and now it just loves the DNA. I don't think it's too masculine, but if you do think it's too masculine, a layer combo that I love to do that is super long lasting and super good for the colder weather is Khamrah Qahwa with Angham. These 2 together are delicious. The Angham is gonna add in a bit more of a feminine vanilla energy, but it's still beastly and long lasting. So with the Qahwa, it's just a match made in heaven. But I think it's a true unisex scent. The coffee notes in this, I think, really help to elevate it. So notes for Khamrah Qahwa, it's gonna open up with cinnamon, cardamom, ginger. In the heart, you get praline, candied fruit, white flowers, and the base is vanilla, coffee, tonka bean, benzoin, and musk. A must try. And finally, in the number 1 spot, this fragrance is so strong that I get scared to even spray it when I'm like talking about it or testing it out, because it literally will last forever. I sprayed this on my wrist one time when I was wearing a watch. I kid you not, when I tell you I smelled that fragrance for at least 2 weeks after on the wristband of my watch, I am not lying. If you ever make the mistake of overspraying this, I'm sorry. I will keep you in my prayers and I hope that you come back to life. Teriaq Intense, ladies and gentlemen. Teriaq mother-frickin' Intense. Make sure that the windows are down when you spray this. This is a very plum liqueur, sweet and spicy and smooth and strong fragrance. When I think of Middle Eastern fragrances, I tend to think of like strong ouds, and then I tend to think of scents like Teriaq Intense. I feel like this is what a strong, independent Middle Eastern woman would smell like to me in my brain. So this opens up with saffron and bergamot, which gives it like a fresh and sharp quality right out the gate. But that quickly goes away and it transitions into the heart of the fragrance, which is really led by the cinnamon and plum liqueur note. This is one of the best, strongest, most true to like boozy type of fragrances that I have. I mean, that plum liqueur is plum liqueuring. You might mess around and get a little bit tipsy if you spray too much of this one, okay? And then we also get some amber, tonka bean, and benzoin in the base. It is just gorgeous. Whenever somebody asks me in one of my TikTok lives, I've tried so many fragrances and none of them last on me. I really need a strong fragrance that is going to last at least 12 hours. And I don't care what it smells like. I always recommend then Teriaq Intense. If you try Teriaq Intense and you tell me you can't smell this or this is light or it doesn't last on you, truly then I can't help you. Then we are living in two different dimensions because by no definition should this ever be considered a light scent that cannot be smelled. One of the best original creations by Lattafa for sure. Let me know which of these you have tried out. Let me know if they have lasted long to you and what are some of your longest lasting Lattafa fragrances.